energy efficiency. I have to apologize that one of the speakers, Glenn Diltz, has not been able to join us. He's had to bow out because of health reasons. So it's just the two of us. Before I start, I would just like to acknowledge that we stand today on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, which includes the Odawa, Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge the Wendat nations, Huron, who occupied these lands prior to the middle of the 17th century. And this is really important given today's day of recognition. We honor Indigenous history and culture and recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples on this land. We are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. So that's my recognition of First Nations in Aurelia. So by way of introduction, personally, I think energy efficiency is really important. The Liberals in their election campaign allocated $5,000 per person for doing energy efficiency. Last year, through Sustainable Aurelia, we put an application into the federal government to do a program using the MyHeat technology, which is an infrared camera that would fly over Aurelia to try and identify those houses and businesses that would most need energy efficiency programs. We didn't get the money, we weren't successful, so that program never went anywhere. Energy costs are going to increase generally. In the US, it's increased about 2% a year for the last 25 years, and it'll be probably similar here in Ontario. And energy efficiency is it's a boring subject, but it's a very low cost program to help reduce our emissions and use energy wisely. And lastly, in Aurelia's, we're really currently going through a climate change planning program. And one of the first priorities in that program under their climate change banner is reducing demand. And I think these are numbers that they put out. They want to reduce it from about 130 gigajoules per person to about 39 gigajoules per person by 2050. And a gigajoule is just a measure of energy. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Chris. So I would ask you if you can keep your questions to the end. Both Chris and Nicole will be talking probably about 20 minutes each. So there'll be plenty of time at the end for a discussion. So, and there's a chat room here, I think somewhere on the website that you can put your questions or as we go along. So with that, Chris, I'll hand it over to you, and Jessica will be putting up his slides.
Terrific. Great. Thanks very much, Tim, and thanks everyone for joining. It was really nice to be asked to present, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you for the opportunity. And we put together a short deck, and kind of the focus of the deck today is on two main sectors, commercial buildings and residential buildings. So we'll talk a little bit about non-existent buildings, as in buildings in the design phase, as well as existing or buildings that need to be retrofitted. So thanks very much for joining. In terms of the agenda, in addition to that, we thought we'd start with just a quick overview maybe of Enbridge. If you wouldn't mind, next slide there, please, Jessica. So we can give a quick overview of Enbridge. Then we'll get into commercials first and then residential second. And at the end, you'll see all of our contact information. So if you have any questions, and there could be some, of course, we can handle them in the discussion, or you'll have that information to take away and you can reach out after the fact anytime. We'll be happy to help. So next slide. So a little bit about Enbridge. As you're probably aware, in January of 2019, the two main natural gas distributors in Ontario merged. So Union Gas and Enbridge Gas Distribution joined and merged to form one new entity called Enbridge Gas Inc. So what you see there on the screen is the map of our current operations where we supply fuel to. So we are the provider of natural gas service to about 75% of Ontario's homes. We serve almost 4 million customers. You'll see there our core values are safety, integrity, respect, and inclusion, and they underpin all the decisions we make and everything that we do. And you'll see some stats about our DSM programs. And that's a good chunk of what we're going to be talking about today. Next slide, please. So in articulating kind of where Enbridge is headed and the focus of our team, we try to put things into 4 different buckets, and those buckets are more gas, less gas, no gas, and green gas. And kind of many of our team's attention are focused on one or multiple of those quadrants. So we thought we'd quickly take you around the wheel and just touch on what each of those 4 quadrants kind of refer to. So in terms of more gas, that can include things like system expansion. And what that would mean is communities that aren't currently serviced by natural gas. As you'll remember, we serve about 75% of the homes in Ontario. There's a couple other small distribution providers, such as in Kingston, in Kitchener, and EPCOR has a small franchise territory. But additionally, there's obviously more homes in Ontario that don't have access to natural gas. And as we get permission to expand pipelines to serve these natural gas, we're able to provide them with our product. And then additionally, CNG. And what CNG stands for, and some of you may know, is compressed natural gas. So a potential application of compressed natural gas is displacing diesel. So if you think of a bus fleet, for example, in a municipality, many buses, city buses run on diesel. And the idea is to transition that bus fleet from a diesel fired fleet to compressed natural gas, as well as transport trucking. In terms of less gas, that's a good chunk of what we'll be talking about today. So that's our demand side management programs, our conservation programs, as well as we sometimes run pilots. We've just started a new pilot on hybrid heating. Happy to talk about it if people are interested in that, but that's kind of a dual fuel type of heating solution for a home, utilizing an air source heat pump, as well as a conventional natural gas furnace and a smart controller that allows the system to toggle between the two. No gas refers to geothermal, which is taking heat from down underground and supplying that heat to homes or businesses above ground, obviously, and can provide heat cooling in the summer. And district energy systems, which, as the name kind of denotes, it's a loop, normally a hot water loop or steam loop in a city, and all the customers along that loop can take heat from that loop. And that heat can be fired with natural gas or biogas or many, many different sources of fuel for the district energy loop. And now we're on the last quadrant, which is green gas, which is refers to things like renewable natural gas. So this is things like the organics program. As you're throwing out your banana peels and apple cores, they release methane into the atmosphere, which can be captured and re-injected into the natural gas pipeline. Or from a wastewater treatment plant, for example. These are all opportunities to generate renewable natural gas and displace conventional natural gas. And also hydrogen. And I know our colleague Sam McDermott actually presented, I think 2 weeks ago, to this same group about hydrogen, how excited we are about that. So next slide, please. And if there's any questions, more than happy to talk about any of those aspects or new technologies. But the thrust of our conversation today in terms of the Enbridge component is about our conservation programs. And we're recognized as a leader in energy efficiency and conservation. We have a team really across the province of about 140 employees that are focused on conservation, on purely helping our customers use less natural gas and use it as efficiently as possible. You see some stats there about how much natural gas we've saved since 1995 and what that leads to, or what that has as created in terms of emissions reductions, which of course is the focus of sustainability, Aurelia. Next slide, and we can get specific here. So in terms of commercial offers, as I said in the introduction, we have programs for new construction types of programs. So Mary Sai, who's actually on the call, she manages that program for us. That's our Savings by Design program, and it helps to create the optimal design for a building in the design phase in order that it is as efficient as possible. So we help you run a charrette, an IDP, where you go through a process with real-time modeling with a bunch of experts in the room and try to optimize the design in order to achieve efficiency levels above building code. But we thought that kind of most of the people on this call would be, maybe not necessarily in the design phase, but in the operations phase or running an existing commercial building. And if that's you, we do have a suite of programs that you might find interesting. Most of you probably have already heard about these programs, but they fall into a few different buckets. So we have prescriptive programs, which are rather kind of rebate-based programs. They don't really require specific calculations. If you do X, you will get Y type of things. We have custom programs, they're a little more involved, which involves normally a consultant from Enbridge coming out to your site, or at least getting a good understanding of your site and doing site-specific calculations. So they would look at your current kind of consumption patterns. They'd look at your current equipment. They'd talk to you about what you're thinking of doing in terms of an efficiency project. They'd model out what that would lead to in terms of consumption. And they're going to provide a financial incentive on the delta between the two. So it's a custom calculation. We also provide incentives for audits and studies, which are great if you're interested in doing something, but you're not sure kind of what the best thing to do might be, then either giving us a call and our consultant would probably be able to help, or you can, if you're interested, you can hire an outside party to do it and we'll help you offset those costs. And then additionally, there's programs like Run Smart and Run It Right, which are kind of operational improvement programs. So these are programs, they're kind of low cost, no cost programs where you're adjusting set points or you're doing small little operational things to help conserve energy. And we also provide incentives for a program like that. Next slide, please. So really, I think the point we'd like to make for the commercial buildings is that we're here to help. If you have any questions, just give us a call. We have a consultant not too far away. They can come to your site. They can walk your site with you. They can talk with you and understand what you might be interested in doing. They can provide customized calculations. They can give you some information about what other people in this situation have done, what other buildings of the same type are doing across the province, what type of projects we're seeing. They can even facilitate some introductions if that would help. And ultimately, the goal is that you undertake a project that would qualify for an incentive, and that incentive would help you, reduce the costs of the project. So therefore, we're trying to kind of improve the ROI, the return on investment of the project, or decrease your payback time, helping projects move ahead. So we'll give you some information on the end about our energy services contact, or you'll have my information too. And if you have any questions whatsoever, or you're interested in getting started from a commercial standpoint, just give us a call. Now we'll get into the residential programs, and then I'll be passing things over to Nicole. So in terms of residential programs, next slide, please, Jessica. Great. So we have a program that's available to all Enbridge gas customers, if provided that your home is heated with a natural gas furnace or boiler. And with that program, you would qualify for up to $5,000 in financial incentives. So these are prescriptive incentives for things like furnace or boiler replacement. As long as you purchase a qualifying piece of equipment, you would be eligible for the incentive. Hot water tanks or tankless hot water heating systems, As you can see on the screen there, insulation for basement, wall, attic, air sealing, windows and doors. The way that the program works, if you can go to the next slide, the best thing to do would be to reach out to us or get on our website, and you'll see a list of our service organizations we work with. Call the service organization of your choice. Say you're interested in the program. They'll ask you a few qualifying questions just to make sure that you're a good fit for the program, mainly about the age of your home, what you've already done, what you're considering doing, just to make sure that, you know, kind of you should take the next step. They'll help you with that. And provided that you both agree that you should take the next step, they would send someone to your house at an agreed upon time, and they're going to do what we call the pre-audit. So they're going to walk around the house with you. They're going to understand how your home is heated, how you're using natural gas. They're going to do some measurements on your footprint of your home and window coverings, etc. They're going to set up a blower door on normally on your front door of your house, where they are pushing air out of the home with a giant fan to depressurize your house. And then they walk around and try to measure where air is coming in. And the idea with that is that they'll give you some areas where you could do some air sealing. So for example, if you felt a lot of air coming in around, say, you know, a certain window, then they would say, you know, you should caulk this window, or you should look at doing this, or you should look at doing that. Then they can kind of model out your home, and they're going to give you a list of recommended measures. So they'll say things like, if I were you, I would consider doing X, Y, and Z. You know, to be honest, I don't think I would do this. I would more recommend you do this, that type of thing. They give you that advice, and then they're on their way. And you would go through that list and decide what you want to do. You'd make some phone calls to service providers of your choosing, whoever you might know or like. You call them, they do the work in your home, you pay them to do the work that you've agreed upon. And once the work is done, then you pick up the phone and call the same auditor who came and did the blower door test the first time. You call them to come back. They'll come back to your house, they'll walk around, they'll verify the different things that you did. They'll do a blower door test to get the air exchange number of the home, which is hopefully improved. And then they will complete everything. They'll get your receipts. They'll submit all the paperwork for you. In roughly 9 to 12 weeks, I think it is, you'll receive your rebate check. So it's a great, great program. It's one of the kind of foundational programs of our conservation suite of offerings. And it's available to you as homeowners in Aurelia. Next slide, please, Jessica. This is another terrific program. Unfortunately, it's not available to everyone. There's an income eligibility component to this program. So if your income is at a certain level, there's certain caps. I believe it's approximately, don't quote me on it, but I could send you the numbers. It's approximately $36,000. I think if there's one adult in the home, I believe it's like $52,000 if there's two adults in the home. And if your income is less than that, then you would qualify for this program. And it's very, very similar to the program we just detailed. The advantage of this is that a good chunk of that work is covered without cost to the homeowner. So there's no charge for the program. So it is a terrific program. It's not for everyone in terms of qualification, but if you do qualify, I'd strongly recommend you do it. I don't really see why you wouldn't. It'd be great for you. Next slide, please. So here's some more details on the program. So the audits are free, whereas in the other program you're paying, but then you get rebated for them. So it's just free upfront, but the insulation, the draft proofing, the weather stripping, all that work is free and is done for you, as opposed to you going out and finding someone to do it, paying for them to do it, and then getting an incentive to kind of offset some of the costs. This one, it's all done for you. So it's kind of a turnkey type of program. That's great. And there's also a kind of a life safety component too with carbon monoxide detectors. If the auditor, the person doing the work in your home sees that you don't have carbon monoxide detectors, they'll put carbon monoxide detectors in too, which is obviously a great thing from a safety standpoint. Next slide. And I think this is almost the last slide, but basically we kind of want to sum up the benefits of the program, whether you be in a commercial facility or, you know, whether it's for your home. The idea is with these programs that your comfort will be increased, the temperature is better regulated, they're healthier buildings, there's fewer drafts, you're going to save on your energy bill. And most importantly, you're going to save on your emissions, which from a sustainability Aurelia standpoint, that's one of the main thrusts of this organization and really this webinar in the first place is to help you make conscious decisions in your existing structures in order to reduce your energy consumption and reduce your carbon footprint. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present. Next slide, please, Jessica. There's contact information there for our kind of general. That's our colleague David manages that. You can get in touch generally through kind of the upper left there, or to me specifically, if you like, in the bottom right. We'll be more than happy to help answer any questions you have or anything like that. We can help steer you in the right direction.
Services at Enbridge.
All right. And I believe, Tim, you wanted to do questions at the end. So if I'm not mistaken, then I'm going to pass things over to Nicole.
Yes, I think so. Actually, I see on the chat line, we have a lot of questions. So if I can ask everybody to bear with us, and then we'll get through them after Nicole's presentation. So Chris, thank you very much. That was great. Nicole, over to you. And Jessica, let's have the slides. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tim and Chris. It's great to be here today and participate in today's session. As Tim said, my name is Nicole Heinum, and I'm the Supervisor of Business Development at the IESO. My team works with customers across the province to raise awareness and enable participation in the Save on Energy programs. And the Save on Energy incentive programs can be leveraged by residents, businesses, and industry as tools to advance your sustainability goals through energy efficiency. So before I really get into the Save on Energy programs and resources, I'm going to talk a little bit about the work that the IESO does, and then a bit about the history of conservation in Ontario. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So there are a number of organizations that the IESO works with in the electricity sector. There is the Ministry of Energy, who sets the overarching policy. There's the Ontario Energy Board, who regulates the province's electricity sector. There's Ontario Power Generation, who generates electricity for Ontario, and they do it through nuclear assets, hydro, gas, wind, solar. And then Hydro One is the transmitter. So they deliver power across the province to the local distribution companies. They are also, and industrial customers, they're also a local distribution company. And the local distribution companies, there's a number of them, they distribute the power from the transmitters to the homes and businesses across Ontario. Next slide, please. So now we'll talk a little bit more about the IESO. So at the IESO, we operate the power system in real time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In addition, we undertake long-term and short-term power system planning, and we procure electricity resources to meet future needs. We work very closely with our stakeholders as well as our communities to enable informed decision-making about the sector, especially right now. And there's a lot of evolution in the sector, and we work very closely to make sure that people have an opportunity to participate in our processes. In recent years, the IESO has played an ever-increasing role in the important work that we do around cybersecurity discussions. Next slide, please. So energy efficiency is not new in Ontario, and the programs have been delivered for 15 plus years. Sorry, I think it's still frozen on the last slide, unless that's just my computer. Oh, yeah, perfect, thank you. So for the past 10 years, we've actually been delivering the programs under the Save on Energy brand. And here are some of the stats of some of the successes that we've had through the Save on Energy program. So Ontario saved 17.3 terawatt hours of electricity through our CDM programs since 2006. What does this mean? This is equivalent to powering 1.9 million homes for a year. So it's pretty impactful. We've had 250,000 residential consumers and businesses participate in the Save on Energy program since 2011. So that's why we want to make sure we're here today to make sure that everybody is aware of the opportunities that are available to them. From a measure perspective, we've had over 80 million energy efficient actions or basically transactions undertaken since 2011. This is through our coupon programs, retirement of inefficient appliances, and then projects completed through replacements. Next slide, please. So similar to Chris, I'm going to talk about the Save on Energy programs that are available to you in two buckets, the business and the residential. So the first thing that I'll focus on is the Save on Energy business programs. And I'm really going to talk about the two that I think would be most relevant to you. But I did want to make sure that everyone was aware of the other offering, and you can always reach out to me after if you'd like to learn more about the others. So we have the small business program, the retrofit program, the energy performance program, energy manager program, and then training and capability building offering that's available to business consumers, customers across Ontario. Next slide, please. And then I'm also going to take a moment to just highlight which programs are available to residential, and then we'll talk about those in a moment. So we have a energy affordability program, which is targeted at income eligible electricity customers. And then we've got some programs for First Nation, unreserved First Nation communities. Then we've got a suite of tools that I'm going to talk about that residential consumers can use. One thing I would just flag before we get any further is the saveonenergy.ca website is a great resource for both the business and the residential consumer content, tips, tools, FAQs. It's a really great resource for everything if you want to learn more or participate in our programs. Next slide, please. So the retrofit program is really a flagship program for the Save on Energy, and it's available to commercial, industrial, institutional, multi-unit residential, agriculture businesses can all participate in this program. And we offer here financial incentives for equipment upgrades with the goal of reducing facilities' electricity consumption. And it is designed to help save on Ontario businesses save energy, reduce costs, and increase productivity. Next slide, please. So the key benefits aside from the reduced electricity costs is customers have often reported having immediate operation and maintenance savings, so that's great, and then greater employee comfort and productivity. So, we often are focused on this, the financial impact, but there are other impacts of these programs that are beyond just the financial. Next slide, please. I liked the way Chris described the prescriptive list because that is what the retrofit program is really focused on for the new framework that we're in right now. So basically, we have a prescriptive program in retrofit where you take you replace a like for like energy efficient equipment, and we have enhanced the list of measures that we had in the past and created an improved application process. And the goal here is to make it easier for customers to participate in the programs, in this program. There are also 3 tracks that this program has. There's a lighting track, an HVAC track, and then a manufacturing other equipment track. Next slide, please. And to figure out what types of projects are eligible, they are listed on the saveonenergy.ca website, but I can just give you a sense that, lighting is eligible, lighting controls, HVAC, chiller replacement, variable speed frequency, variable speed drives. All of these things are the types of measures that could be replaced. And you can, if you go onto the website, you see the incentive that is there and the measure that is there. And we do update these biannually, so it's good to come back and see if there's been any changes. Next slide, please. One of the themes that you'll see today about the programs that we're talking about is we do have opportunities. We have program delivery agents that will help you with these programs, especially if this is your first time navigating the Save on Energy application process or an energy efficiency project in general. So for the retrofit program, you can apply online if you already know how to use the site. You do have to have a minimum incentive of $500 to participate, and then you'll have to complete a participant agreement. Again, we've got the saveonenergy.ca website, or the next slide, please, gives you the number that you can reach a Save on Energy representative. Thank you. Yeah, so here's the phone number that you can reach a Save on Energy representative, and they will be happy to help you with your project. Then I'm just going to quickly, next slide, please, touch on the small business program. So, oh, sorry, one other thing. We have a ton of resources on our website. I think I mentioned this earlier around how you can either use user guides, worksheets, FAQs. There's customer testimonials on the site and videos. So I encourage customers to go to the retrofit page to check for these documents, supporting materials. Okay, so there we are, your small business program. So the small business program, similar to the retrofit program, it does have a support, but a different kind of support. This is a turnkey program where if you're interested in finding out if you can participate, someone will come to your facility, small business, and help you go through an audit to figure out which lighting upgrades you are eligible for. And it's up to $2,000 in incentive currently. We are going to be in this fall expanding this program to include HVAC and refrigeration as well, incentives as well. So we want to make sure people are aware of that change and how to participate. So again, you can go to the saveonenergy.ca site under the small business program, and that you can apply or get support there. Next slide, please. So in general, we have a suite of capability building or training available for customers as well as the channel to make sure that people are up to speed on from a very beginner to more technical training. So the dollars and cents and these incentive trainings, basically we pay a portion of the training that someone would participate in. And again, they go from very basic training. So this would be like your dollars and cents workshop to a certified energy management coursework. And I encourage you to look at the site here as well, because this is changing. This could be for a customer or for a trade ally or a channel partner. Next slide, please. And we've talked a bit about the resources and tools, but I just wanted to say, and I'm not sure if there are trade allies on the call today or channel partners, but we do have a really great site here for manufacturers, vendors, and things. If that is if you are a trade ally or a vendor, so we encourage you to come to this site. We've got the Trade Allies newsletter. There's also guides and handouts that that can be leveraged. Next slide, please. So now we'll talk a little bit about the residential or the Save on Energy for Home. So right now, we've got two programs that are being delivered, one in market and one is winding down with some new programs starting, I believe, next year. And then I'm going to talk about some tips and tools for residential customers. Next slide, please. So the energy affordability program, similar to what Chris was speaking about earlier, is a program geared for income eligible electricity consumers. And this is also a turnkey program where it's delivered at no cost to the consumer. You have to qualify for the program based on your income, and they will come in. An auditor will come in and determine which measures or energy saving equipment should go into your home. And this is from light bulbs up to there's appliances in some cases, as well as weatherization. So it really just depends on the individual home situation. And there is a new component to this program for moderate income customers, which is our energy saving kits program. And again, this is unique to a person's home, but and if someone qualifies for this part of the program, you'd get an energy saving kit and install the equipment on your own. And this is like light bulbs and things like that. Next slide, please. We also have the First Nations Conservation Program, which is winding down now. But the goal here is to help qualified on-reserve First Nation customers improve their energy efficiency and benefit energy efficiency in their home and manage their energy and experience some of the home comfort benefits that come with these upgrades. this program is winding down, so customers in this space or First Nation community members can apply to the Energy Affordability Program if they hadn't had the services of the First Nations Conservation Program. And we are aiming to launch a First Nations commercial buildings program for unreserved First Nations either late this year or early next year. Next slide, please. So before I get into the tips that residents can do, residential customers can do to conserve, I thought I would just quickly talk about, there is, similar to the business program, there's a lot of resources on the Save on Energy page, and you can also sign up for the Power What's Next newsletter that goes out quarterly if that's something that you're interested in. Next slide, please. So now we'll talk about some of the energy affordability, energy saving tips. And I'm going to talk about it at the home level, and then we'll talk about some of the different areas in your home that may use electricity, some tips for those areas, and then some seasonal tips. So we recommend that people unplug their electronics and appliances when you're not using them, because even when your items are plugged in, phantom power still occurs. And this means that it's drawing power whether it's off or on. So if you're able to unplug those, we recommend using a power bar to control your lights. And again, this could be used, some power bars have timers, so this could be used to control the phantom power that we just talked about. Check all of your exterior doors for weather stripping, and if it's not there, we recommend that you replace the worn, ripped, or missing weather stripping. And then if you close your windows, we suggest that you make sure that they are properly latched to ensure a tight air seal. Next slide, please. Uh, when you change out a light bulb, if it's gone out, we strongly recommend that you replace them with LEDs. They are more expensive generally up front, but they use use less electricity in the long run. They do have a longer life, and they are available in many similar colors to incandescents or CFLs. Use small task lighting, such as reading lamps instead of lighting the entire room, and then learning more about the features of your thermostat, including setting your fan control to intermittent or auto. Next slide, please. So when you're doing your laundry, we suggest that you wash your laundry in cold water. It's also better for your clothes and it saves energy. We suggest you only run your washing machine when you've got a full load, and then hang wet laundry on a clothesline or clothes drying rack instead of using a dryer. Next slide, please. Um, so now we'll talk about some of the different areas of your home. So in the kitchen, we suggest that you use small appliances instead of large ones. So if you can use your microwave or instead of your stove, or slow cooker over the oven, you should set your fridge temperature to between 2 and 4 degrees Celsius to keep the foods fresh and to save energy. And you should try not to leave the fridge door open when you're cooking longer than it needs to be. You can pre-boil your water in a kettle for cooking rather than using the stove top. And when you do use the stove, choose the proper size pan to match the burner. Next slide, please. There are some opportunities in the bathroom as well. So take shorter showers and fewer baths to reduce the energy use that is required by your water heater. Don't keep the water running longer than it needs to, and use low flow shower heads or faucet aerators. Thank you. Savings. So now we'll talk quickly about the seasonal opportunities. So in the winter, we suggest that you replace your furnace filter on a regular basis. This will keep the cost, and to keep the cost down, we recommend using reusable filters. And then if you use plastic shrink wrap or even a blanket to reduce the drafts around the window, that can keep heat from escaping. If you're able to do it, leverage the heat from the sun by opening your blinds when it makes sense during the winter, and then closing them in the summer to stay cool. And then make sure your vents and grates are not blocked by furniture. Next slide, please. Thank you. As it relates to summer, we suggest that you check the seals around your window air conditioner to make sure they're tight. Head outdoors to barbecue instead of cooking inside. Take advantage of ceiling fans, and as most ceiling fans, you can reverse the direction in the winter to stay warm. And then when summer's over, remove the window air conditioner and store it inside to make sure it lasts longer. So I feel like a broken record, but the saveonenergy.ca site is a great resource. And if there's anything that you would like any more information on, or you want to dive deeper into one of the programs, I'm happy to help you, or one of my team members can help you navigate our processes or learn more about our programs. So with that, I just say thank you for your interest in in our programs, and thanks for having us.
Well, thank you very much, Nicole. Sorry, I'm just struggling here to see my video. So for all the attendees, you can see there's a huge amount of information, both from your gas usage and electricity. So this has been a great summary, I think, for all of us who want to get involved in this. So I've seen there's been a huge amount of traffic flow on the chats going backwards and forwards. So let's try and see what questions we've got that have not been answered. So I'm just going to say thank you for Mary actually answering any. So let's start at the top. So what's the cost of an energy advisor audit? I think that was answered by somebody. So I guess that would be to Chris.
Yeah, and I think Mary put in that.
Did Mary? Oh, okay. I didn't see
yeah,
that.
so there's a rebate that's given when you complete the program, and that's $600. So I believe an energy auditor can charge differing amounts. They charge whatever they like, but for the most part, they're in around $600. Our goal is to try to offset pretty much the cost of the audit. So specifically from Enbridge, you will get a $600 rebate to offset the cost of your audit once you complete the program. And for the most part, I think that should cover all or the great majority of any costs incurred for an audit.
Okay, no, that's great. So are there any programs for people who are on propane who don't live? Now, I don't know whether that was answered by Mary.
Tim, just for the video's sake, can we actually also answer the questions out loud? Because when we record, the chat doesn't go with the recording. So if folks are watching afterwards.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks,
Thank
Jessica.
you.
Yeah. So, so the next question is, I live in an area that is not served by natural gas or Medonti. As a result, I heat with propane. Are there comparable programs for customers like me? So I guess that would be to Chris.
Yeah, and I don't have any knowledge of any programs for, in addition, a propane customer who doesn't heat with natural gas because they don't have access to natural gas can't participate in the Enbridge program. And I'm not aware of any other program other than Greener Homes. I guess the Greener Homes program is an option, the federal program. Mary, did I capture? I'm not too sure if you commented on that one. Is there anything I'm missing on that one?
Yeah, I did comment on it in saying I'm not aware of any programs. I do not believe the federal program includes propane, but I said to them they should be contacting their service provider of the propane and checking with them.
Good idea.
Okay, thanks, Mary. Okay, that's good. Next question, are churches considered commercial? And I think the answer to that was yes, Mary. Is that correct?
Yes, they fall under Part 3 on the Ontario Building Code, so they're considered commercial.
Okay. Next question, is there any cost at all to the homeowner for the winterproofing program? So I guess, Chris, that's to you.
Yeah, I don't believe there is. No, I believe everything's fully covered.
So it's all free. It's all free, right?
It's all free.
Okay.
What I did put in the chat, though, there is an eligibility criteria based on your income.
Okay, great. So actually, just one of the questions I had was, does that apply if you've got a rental program, you've got landlords? How does that work?
I
Yeah.
believe we need the authorization from the landlord to do that.
So if the landlord has an income above the threshold, they wouldn't qualify, even though that the renter is below.
I think
Is that-
that's treated a little bit separately. So I would suggest to check into it. I can get back to you on that, but I believe that with if a landlord has, let's say, a building and it has, 4 or 5 different units on it, I still think it's the way the rental's based as a lower income. Yes. So I think he still is eligible, but I'll
He's
have to
still
get back to you on that.
Okay, this is important for Aurelia because we have, especially in the downtown core, a lot of older houses that need retrofits and winterproofing, but are rented out by landlords. So this is, I think, a big issue for us,
For the
Sorry?
Save on Energy, for the Save on Energy income qualified, the Energy Affordability Program, it would be on the tenant's income, but the landlord will have to sign off on any retrofits, right?
Okay, so it's the tenant. For electricity, it would be the tenant,
Yep.
but the landlord would have to give the approval. Okay.
Correct.
Next question, solar qualifies but may not be a regular energy audit. How does the pre and post energy audit work for going solar? So I guess that's to you, Nicole, with it, the electricity.
So solar does not qualify for these programs. So so this is really only for the energy efficiency measures that are installed. They're only in the Save on Energy programs. The IESO or the Ontario Power Authority used to have the FIT and microfit program, but those are no longer accepting applications. They're just in contracting. So I'm not sure if I'm answering that question right.
So I take it from there, the answer is no, there's no program at the moment.
I think actually the federal program would provide an incentive for solar on a retrofit. So that's the Greener Homes program, which has just been announced in the last few months.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Glenn,
I would turn to that program. There might be an incentive for you.
Yeah. I had Glenn was going to talk about the greener homes, so that's a thing. Okay, another question. My furnace is roughly 14 years old. Would it be worth it to replace it? Do newer furnaces have enough of an increase in efficiency to make a difference? And I think Mary answered that one. And Mary, maybe I can ask you to comment on that.
Sure. I had to turn off my mute. So,
Okay.
I mean, what I would suggest is definitely take a look at it. When you have someone come into your house, have them take a look at your furnace, because a 14-year-old furnace, there is a lot of new technologies, efficiencies. So they're going to have to deem whether it's viable or not for them. But I would definitely raise that as one of the suggestions for replacement.
Okay, no, that's great.
The only other thing I'd maybe add to that, Tim, that people might find interesting is with the carbon tax, right? And the carbon tax increasing every year, that's going to increase your costs. So if you can replace an inefficient piece of equipment with something more efficient, you're going to reduce your consumption. And as the per cubic meter price of natural gas climbs due to the carbon tax, some programs that maybe didn't make as much dollars and cents before are going to start to make more dollars and cents now. You know all about that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
No, this is the idea. Yeah, that as the price of carbon goes up, it theoretically could go up to $100 a ton. You're going to look at these things much more carefully than we are now. Right. Absolutely. There's a comment here in the chat room. David, you asked about taking advantage for your current home. Yes, that's fine as incentives are tied to the house address. I don't see what the question was. So maybe David, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, Tim. The reason I was asking is because in a house that I owned previously, I took advantage of that program, and I did do the energy upgrades, and I did get reimbursed for a good portion of them, and then sold the house, and I moved to a new house. And I was kind of worried that if I applied a second time for another house, that maybe it would be considered double dipping or something along that lines. So I think they've answered my question. It's the energy upgrades are tied to the house, not to the individual. And that's the answer I was looking for. So I'm happy.
And just to be clear, David, what program was that you were applying for?
That was the upgrades for insulation, that sort of thing.
From Enbridge.
From Enbridge, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so if you sell your house, move to a new house, you're still eligible for these programs. So that's great. Okay. Let's see, next question. Stan asked, HWP, there's no cost, but you must qualify based on household income. What's HWP? I can't remember what that is.
So that's the home winterproofing program.
Home winter
that Enbridge
program. Okay, yeah,
offers.
yeah. So it's a household income. Yeah, we've already answered that one, I think. Program for propane. Yeah, Doug, the cost of an energy audit is about $600. So we've answered that one. Are the Enbridge HER and IESO Save on Energy both available? Can you only get one of the two? So I guess this is double dipping between Enbridge and IESO. So Nicole, maybe you haven't answered anything. I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, so for the energy affordability program and home weatherization program, they actually complement each other, and we have a similar delivery agent in field. Right now, we're actually working on a joint procurement for new vendor services to kick off in 2022 to even further bring these together, hopefully. So because we're paying for the electricity measures, Enbridge is paying for the gas measures, it's not duplicative.
Okay, no, that's great. Okay. Next question, should the homeowner apply for both Canada Greener Homes Grant and the HER program through Enbridge? So I guess, Chris, that's yours.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. And the Greener Homes program was just launched. I don't know when it was, just 2-3 months ago or so, the final details came out about it. But the way that works is you cannot duplicate measures. You can't double dip on incentives, kind of like what Dave was saying before. But some of those measures do overlap. So whereas the Greener Homes program would maybe incent an air source heat pump or solar, for example, Enbridge is going to incent a furnace replacement. So if you wanted to do furnace, you'd go towards our program. If it was air source heat pump, you'd do the federal program. But to go a little further in the example, if you were looking at insulation or new windows, both of those are offered through each program, and sometimes at varying dollar amounts, different dollar amounts. So our advice to homeowners is do the pre-audit. So have the auditor come to your house, do the blower door test, recommend the measures, look at the list of available incentives, and choose the program that is going to put more incentives in your pocket. And it's possible you may choose both. You may do 2 measures under the Greener Homes program because their incentives are better. You may do 2 measures under the Enbridge program because for those line items, our incentives are better. And that's how they can work in a non competitive way.
That's a competitive way. Yeah. Okay.
That's
No,
right.
that's great. I mean, that's really good. Next question, is there any incentive to purchase timer power bars? I guess, Nicole, this is for you.
So in the previous offering or the previous frameworks, there were residential coupon residential coupon offering. That does not exist currently. So currently there's nothing available around those types of measures for residential customers. There is things like that in the income qualified program.
Right. Okay.
And the
No,
Aboriginal
that's good.
Conservation Program. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Next question. Given Aurelia's electric supply is hydroelectric, is it deemed more green friendly to run as much as possible of our house on electric? Does Aurelia have any programs such as solar installation? So I guess that's Nicole, given it's electric.
So our supply mix in Ontario, when it comes to electricity, is quite clean. We phased out coal, I believe, in 2012, and so we do have a very clean running system. And a lot of the power that people are using across the province is being generated by by renewables right now. So having said all that, we recommend you limit the amount of electricity you use wherever possible, because it's better for your pocket, it's better for the environment. So
yeah, the bottom line is, I mean, both electric and natural gas, we need to use it as wisely and as efficiently as possible. It doesn't matter whether it's gas or electric. Stan, I'm going to ask you, does it really have any programs such as solar installations? I'm not aware of anything. Stan, or maybe Stan is that anyway. The answer, I'm not aware of any programs by Aurelia. I think Aurelia should. That's my personal view, but I don't think there's anything out there that they've got. Next question: would replacing an air conditioner with an air-to-air heat pump be eligible for the IESO program, or is that something that the federal program covers?
So I believe we do have air source heat pumps in our commercial program offering, and I can circle back with you after. It's really going to be dependent on your situation, but I do believe it is part of the program.
Okay, great. Next question. I had a residential order done 10 years ago. Would I need another one now? So I guess that would be Chris.
Yeah, I think you would. I
Yes,
think you would.
Yeah. Okay, the answer is yes. Next question. What was the threshold for a single person for eligibility for the home winterproofing program?
And Mary put that up here, and I see it now. Yeah. So it's if there's one individual in the home that's over the age of 18, the number's 36,578. Okay. So as long as that income earners income before taxes is less than that, you'd qualify for the program. If there's two adults, it's 51,729. And then actually the chart goes up if there's three adults over that age, 4, 5, 6. If you need that information, just reach out to me or Energy Services at Enbridge.com, and we'll be happy to send you the table. That number normally changes every year. It just went up this year.
Okay,
and those numbers actually align with the electric program as well. So we are in alignment on that as well.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Next question, HWP Enbridge, same as IESO. You qualify based on your income, but need sign off by landlord. Oh, okay, that was Mary. Sorry, I didn't. And then Mary sent out a website talking about the household eligibility and details about the program. So she's answered all that. Next question, I changed over my furnace from electricity to gas 2 years ago. Can I still qualify for a retrofit grant? So I'm not sure who that goes to.
No, and I know it's said in there about it being a natural gas furnace, but no, unfortunately, all of these, to qualify for the program, you have to do your pre-audit before you've had any work done. So no, you can't. Unfortunately, also, go back after the fact.
Yeah, but also it's the program gas to gas, right, Chris? You can't go from gas to electric and go for a program. Is that?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And in this case, it was electric to gas, but you're right.
Electric to gas.
Right,
yeah. Would replacing an electric furnace with a new heat pump qualify?
With the Greener Homes program.
Electric. That'll be electric. Yeah.
So I would have to, I'm not sure what specific measure you're referring to when you say new qualifying heat pump. So you'd have to go on the website, on the Save on Energy website, and see what the measures
Okay.
are, because there's specific sizing and everything. So I don't want to lead anybody astray when it comes to the different types of measures. So I would invite you to go to the retrofit page, so saveonenergy.ca retrofit, and see what kind of measures are there.
Okay, no, that's good. Next question, what about residential air conditioning to heat pump replacement programs? So that's electric, Nicole.
So currently the only residential offering that, or the residential offering that we have is the income qualified and the unreserved First Nations program. So the types of programs that we had before for these types of things are not in place right now.
Okay. Next question. I understand that newer appliances often last a shorter amount of time and are less able to be repaired. So does one discard an older, less energy efficient appliance for a newer one, which may become garbage in a few years? That's a good question. It's a sustainability question. I'm not sure who can answer that. Is that either of you?
The way it's written, it sounds like the current equipment is working, and you know, if I had a dishwasher that was working, even if it was slightly inefficient, there's always going to be something more efficient. You know, I think it's probably more sustainable rather than to trash something and have all the new components mined and created and shipped and
this is a
moved to your home. I personally think you're probably greener to run the other one out a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think from a sustainability, my sense would be to keep it until the cost of fixing it probably outweighs the purchase of a new one, something like that. Well, that's all the questions I've got. I'd just like to, I see we're 10 minutes over the time, but obviously there's great interest in this, so that's why I've kept it going. Before we finish, are there any other questions that anybody would like to put to our two great speakers? No, I'm not seeing anybody. Well, I think with that, I'm going to bring this webinar to a close. I'm sure Chris and Nicole will be talking more about this, hopefully, as people, you know, will actually want to do actions like this as part of their climate change. But I just wanted to thank you both very, very much for putting in the work, giving the talk, and giving us all that great information. And Jessica tells me this will all be on the website.